One of the additions I made to my classroom this year was flexible seating. I cannot stress how much these products have completely transformed my classroom for my students. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new to my channel, hi there. My name is Michelle Ferré and I am a 4th grade math, science, and social studies teacher in Maryland. Now, I have wanted to be an elementary school teacher since I was in elementary school myself. I was totally that kid holding school on their front porch, assigning homework, the whole 9 yards. When you decide you want to be a teacher, one of the first things you discover is that there are entire stores dedicated to teachers and teaching supplies, aka teacher heaven. In my personal opinion, there is one educational store that is above and beyond the rest of them, and that is Lakeshore Learning. I think I first discovered Lakeshore when I was around college age and I started student teaching, and from the very beginning I was obsessed. One of the things that sets Lakeshore apart from other educational stores is the fact that all of their products are designed by former teachers with education in mind. I have been purchasing Lakeshore Learning products since I first started teaching, and I cannot stress how high quality they are in comparison to other educational supplies. So when Lakeshore Learning reached out to me and wanted me to join their ambassador program for 2018, I was ecstatic because I only want to represent products and brands that I truly believe in, but Lakeshore Learning is one of those brands that I've had nothing but good experiences with. Their products are high quality and their customer service is amazing. So thank you, Lakeshore Learning, for sponsoring this video and for inviting me to represent your brand because it truly is an honor to me. One of the additions I made to my classroom this year was flexible seating. I am in love with Lakeshore's Flex Space seating line because there are so many different options and they all come in these beautiful bright colors. Now, I have been using all of the products that I'm about to show you in my classroom for about a month now. It's not like I'm taking these out of the box and telling you how excited I am to use them. I have actually been using them with my students for about a month now. Like I said, you will notice that some of them do have dirt on them because my students have been using them literally every single day. From the moment that I introduced them to my classroom, my students have been just as obsessed as I am, and they are using them and they are loving them. So you will notice they're not brand new, and that's okay because they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, but they're holding up amazingly. But all of these products I'm going to be giving you my honest opinion about because, like I said, I've actually been able to have my hands on them, use them with my students, see how my students interact with them, so I'm able to give you a better idea of how these actually work in a real classroom. But just a quick note, I cannot stress how much these products have completely transformed my classroom for my students. They are now eager to work independently or work in small groups because it means that they get to use these products, it means that they get to be comfortable, and that has significantly increased their work ethic. I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you each product, but I will warn you in advance, some of these are too big for me to like hold up next to the camera. So for those items, I'm just going to do like an overlaid video so you can see what it looks like in my classroom instead. The first product is the Flex Space round floor table. I personally have the 42-inch diameter. Now, because this is a floor table, that means that my students can sit on the floor while working at it, and I love that. I have always liked working on the floor with my students. I don't know why, maybe I'm weird, but I just feel better when I'm able to get down on their level. And previously teaching 2nd grade, I didn't know how my 4th graders would feel about working on the floor, but they love it just as much as 2nd graders. Now, the table can be adjusted for various heights. Since I do teach 4th grade and my students are a little bit on the bigger side, I actually have it set at the highest height. But if you teach younger kids, you could absolutely have it down lower. You're able to adjust it to fit their needs. Originally, when this came in, I had told my students no more than 4 people at a time at the table, but I quickly discovered they could actually fit like 6 or 7 of them here on the floor working, which is even better for me. Most of the time, this table is used by my students when they're working independently, or if they're doing group work, oftentimes the groups will come back here and work. But sometimes I actually pull groups back here as well. I do have another regular size table in my classroom, but most of the time my TA is there working with a group because she doesn't want to sit on the floor, which I perfectly understand, but I love working on the floor. So I actually will come back here and I'll pull a group back here, and they absolutely love it. The next item that I have and my students love is the Flex Space Comfy Floor Seat. Now, mine is in the green color, and just for size reference, the bottom of it has about a 22-inch diameter. One of the reasons that I love this chair is because it is adjustable. So bear with me as I try to show you this. This is like the highest height where it's at a 90-degree angle. If I push it forward, it will go back and you'll hear it click. Once it has clicked, that means it's reset to its flat position. I love this because this is so easy to store. If you had multiple of these, lay them down flat, you could stack them on top of each other, and you could even store them under your floor table. Then once it is this flat height, you can actually click it and you can adjust it to different heights. Now, at first I was worried that like it was gonna be really flimsy, but you can push back on this thing so hard and it is not going anywhere. This is definitely something that's gonna hold up for a really long time. Like I said, it's really high quality. This is like a microfiber material, so it's really easy to clean if it gets stained, and it has comfy in its name for a reason. It's padded really well. Whenever I pull a group back to this table, I'm actually the first one to call dibs on this chair, and most of the time you will see me sitting in it because it's awesome. I love that it's adjustable. It's able to support my back, or when my students are reading, they can recline it and they're able to relax more. The next products that I have are the Flex Space Wobble Cushions, and I have a blue one and an orange one. So again, for size reference, these are about 13.5 inches in diameter, so they're smaller than that comfy floor seat. Now let me explain these just a little bit. So first of all, they have small nubs on one side and larger nubs on the other side. So depending on your student's preference, they can actually choose which side they sit on. Depending on your student's sensory needs, some may prefer the large nub side and some may prefer the small nub side. So I love that they can easily flip it over depending on their preference. Now these are not fully inflated and they come that way for a reason. These are meant for students to sit on them and then wobble. So because of the extra space when they're not inflated all the way, when students sit down, they're able to focus their energy on wobbling instead of fidgeting with their hands or their feet or anything else. Now you can sit with these on the floor, you can put these on a chair and sit with them. There are so many different options, and since they're super lightweight, they're really easy to carry around the room if needed. Next is the Flex Space Balance Ball Seat, and mine is the 22-inch one in the blue color. So I think almost anyone who is wanting to venture into flexible seating is pretty familiar with balance balls. These are great for students to sit on instead of chairs. I have students who sit on them back here at the table. Again, similar to the wobble cushions, it's a great way for students to get their energy out instead of fidgeting. Now the problem with most balance balls is that they will not stay still if students are not sitting in them. So as soon as the student gets up, the ball starts rolling around the room. What I love about Lakeshore's balance balls is these little, I guess they're like nubs, but there are 5 of them at the bottom, and this is used to help keep the balance ball in place when a student is not sitting on them. I know it looks kind of unstable, but when it is sitting up, it will stay stationary, but as soon as a student sits down, these actually fold out so the ball is actually in contact with the ground, so you don't have to worry about them falling at all. Now I'm gonna be honest, as soon as this came in the mail and I inflated it, I was a little bit worried because teaching 4th grade and seeing these utter like nubs on the bottom, I knew that it was gonna be a little bit of an issue with my students, but we talked about it when I first introduced this seat, and I said, yes, I'm aware that they look like udders. I explained what they were for, we moved on, it's all good. I did inflate mine with a regular ball pump, similar to what you would use to inflate like a basketball. Now it did take a long time, I'm not gonna lie, my arm is very sore from it, but I was able to do so. Lakeshore also sells an air pump that you can purchase to go with it. That would probably be so much easier, but just know that you can blow it up with a regular ball pump. Next, I have the Flex Space Wobble Chair. Mine is the largest size, which I believe is 16 inches. Now they have these in different colors. Mine is actually in the gray color, which I really like. I do like neutral colors. As much as I love having bright colors, I do think it's nice to have some neutral colored things as well. Now this chair is made to do just that. It is made to wobble. So the way the base is, and yes, mine is dirty, y'all. Like I said, my students have been using this, and this has been a huge hit with them. They all love using this. But the bottom of it is actually made so that students can wobble on it. But what happens is, as they wobble, the sides of it actually catch. So you don't have to worry about students falling over. This is perfect for your students who you are always telling to put 4 on the floor, put their 4 legs of their chair down because you're worried about them falling over. If you have a student like that, I can guarantee you that this wobble chair would be perfect for them. This is also just great for students who fidget or move around a lot in their chair in general. This gives them the ability to move in their chair without worrying about them getting hurt. Now this is super easy to assemble. It comes in 3 pieces, the top, the middle, and the bottom. You literally just pop them together, and within 30 seconds, your wobble chair is good to go. I also love that this is very light. This thing only weighs a couple of pounds. It's super easy to pick up and carry across the room if needed. Like I said, I've been using this for about a month, and I have yet to have a student fall off of it or get hurt in any way. The last item that I have to show you, again, is too big for me to hold up, but it is the Flex Space Beanbag Seat. Mine is the jumbo size, which is 41 inches in diameter in the blue color. Now, my first year of teaching, I got a beanbag for like $20, $30, and that thing was flat as a pancake within weeks of starting school. Most beanbag chairs that I have come across do not hold their shape, they get deflated super easily, and they're just very cheaply made. Let me tell you though, this beanbag chair, first of all, is about the biggest beanbag chair that I've ever seen, which is amazing, but it has been holding up so well over the past few weeks. It has not deflated at all, which is way more than I can say for any other beanbag chair that I've used, and I can just tell that the quality is super high. My students love sitting in the beanbag chair when they're reading at the end of the day, but also when they're working. I have clipboards available for all of my students, and they love to grab a clipboard when they're doing independent work and sit in the beanbag. I know when I first started picturing my classroom, one of the first things that I pictured in there was a beanbag chair. To me, it just screams comfort, and I want my students to be comfortable when they are in my classroom. One of the questions that I have gotten quite a few times since I first shared these products on my Instagram is, how do I manage which students use them on a daily basis? Now, let me start by saying that my classroom is on the smaller side, and I have 34 students in one of my block classes. So unfortunately, having an entire classroom filled with flexible seating is just not an option for me. As a result, I've had to find a way to make do with only having a couple of limited options, but allowing all of my students to have the opportunity to use them. I honestly keep it really simple because I have a million other things going on. The last thing I need to figure out is some kind of rotation schedule for my students to use these flexible seating options. I do have a few students who really need these in order to be more successful. For example, I have a student who needs the wobble chair. They just need it, trust me. They're always like up and around their chair, and they're always leaning back in their chair, and they just need that wobble seat. So I actually have that seating option kind of reserved for them in a way. They know that when they come into the classroom, they are welcome to use it. If for some reason they're choosing not to use it, then another student is absolutely welcome to use it. But it always goes first to that student who needs it. I will say my students are totally respectful of that. I actually set the climate in my classroom at the very beginning of the year about how we all learn different ways and we all need different things at different times. So just because a student needs this option doesn't mean that it's unfair. That student is getting what he or she needs to be successful. Now, for the rest of the items, it honestly is a privilege in my classroom. When I see students who are really focused and are working really hard, I will let them work around the room. That is something I have done since I first started teaching. Before I had all of these options, my students would get clipboards and they'd find a comfy spot around the room. I do have like a carpet and I have some little like scoop rocker things. So my students are used to working around the room and they understand that that's a privilege for them. Once I added in these other seating options, my students honestly became that much more motivated to work hard and be focused because they know that it's first come, first serve, and whichever student is dismissed from their seat first to work around the room, they have first pick at these seating options. Now, I will say your students surprise you sometimes. My students have been absolutely amazing when it comes to sharing these seating options. Originally, I had said no more than like 2 kids at a time in the beanbag chair, but one time I looked over and they were all working quietly. There were 4 kids on that beanbag chair. They were all like facing different directions and they were all sitting there on their clipboards and working. So don't underestimate your kids. If you introduce the seating options in the right way and really explain to your students what it's for, they will be really generous and kind to each other when it comes to sharing them. Now, at the end of the day, I typically have about 10 minutes of dear time, which is drop everything and read, with my homeroom class. During that time, I want my students to be able to read around the room and be comfy, but unfortunately, I can't have them all out reading at the same time because I would have no place to walk. So I actually created a rotation schedule for my students, but it's so easy to manage. Basically, I just have my students alphabetically split into groups. So on Monday, the first 6 students alphabetically get to read around the room. On Tuesday, the next 6 students get to read around the room, and so on and so on. I introduced my students to that at the very beginning of the year, like the very first week, and they have remembered it ever since then. Now, if we don't have school on a particular day, I say, sorry, you'll get it next week because it gets too hard to try to like reschedule it with students. But honestly, that has been a very simple rotation schedule that has worked well for me and has been super easy to manage. That is about all that I have for you. I will make sure that I link each individual product that I mentioned in this video down in the description box so that you can check it out. I will also link the entire FlexSpace line from Lakeshore Learning. That way you can check out even more items that I did not mention in this video. Now, Lakeshore Learning actually has over 60 stores nationwide, so I will leave a link down below so you can find your closest store, because if you are anything like me, you want to go on a big shopping spree right now, especially if you got a tax refund. You can also shop online through their website, so I will link that down below for you as well, along with all of their social medias. That way you can stay up to date on all of their new products. Thank you again to Lakeshore Learning for creating these products and sending them to me, because like I said, they have completely changed the dynamics of my classroom. If you have any ideas I did not mention in this video for flexible seating, please leave them down in the comments because I would love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and go ahead and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time I post a new video. As always, thank you for watching. I love you all so much. Don't forget to think positive, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video and for supporting my YouTube channel. If you want to check out any of my older videos, you can use the 2 links right down here. If you want to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, you can use the link right up here. In the description box, you'll find links from my Teachers Pay Teachers store along with my PO address if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.